So tell me a little bit about how you got your start with registered athletics.
Yeah, well, I've been a Murray State fan since I wound up on campus. Actually, a couple years before that. But I've followed the teams. I followed the football and basketball teams. And then one day I talked to Dave Winder and asked him, how can I help out with the baseball broadcast? And he said, we need announcers. So I started doing play-by-play. That led to more contacts with Dave and the other SIDs and allowed me to do the soccer. And then Dave asked me to host This Week in Racer Athletics. So I did the soccer team and the cross country, interviewing those coaches. And it's really been a great experience.
So how did you start announcing?
Well, that's kind of funny. There's a story that goes back to when I was 6 years old, I think, and I was in my backyard, and I'm playing baseball in the backyard, and my neighbors thought there were like a bunch of kids over in my backyard, but it wasn't. There was just me, and I'm in there. I'm announcing the game, and I'm calling the game like it's like there's a real game going on. So I guess that's when I got my start in announcing when I was 6 years old, by announcing games in my backyard. And then it I've listened to play-by-play announcers on the radio. I would record games into a microphone, into like a cassette recorder as a young kid, and I watching games on TV, and I would record it. I used to go to games. I went to a Cincinnati Reds game, brought a mini tape recorder, and I announced the Cincinnati Reds game into the tape recorder. Nice. And I still have that tape at home. But the first time ever announcing, those tapes are burned. It was awful. It was a terrible experience, but that kind of comes with it. You're gonna
you gotta get the practice and experience.
Exactly. I think when you're doing it for real for the first time, you got a lot of pressure, and it's something that I've always wanted to do, is get involved in announcing.
So I'm sure you have several funny stories from your various games you've been to throughout various sports.
Oh, definitely. I've been called out just here. I'll talk about just the times at Murray State. I mentioned a Kentucky player when I was announcing the games one time, and one of the SIDs told me, like, if you ever mention a Kentucky player again, I'll throw you through the wall. And he was kidding. Wow. He was kidding. But there's things like that. There's things that as you're doing play-by-play, you're doing announcing, especially if you're doing it for a team. You're not doing it for like CBS. I was doing it for Murray State. There are certain things that they once said. They want you to kind of hype up their school. Don't hype up anybody else's school. Hype up their school. So that that is a way of marketing, and so you got to take that into consideration. There are times when I've had guys who work with me that are say things. I had an announcer just the other night doing the play-by-play, and he on the box score it'll say .500. Now you'll read that as 50%. He read it as, and she's shooting 500% from the field.
That's impressive.
500%. She made every shot she took, and then shots she didn't take. She made those two. It's really impressive.
I've never seen that done.
It's rare. It's rare. We also had a guy in baseball say that they scored 5 runs on one play. That's a school record, by the way. Scored 5 runs with one swing of the bat. That is a school record. So, but the thing is, like, you're doing this with students, and I've made plenty of mistakes. And as students, we make plenty of mistakes. But you listen to guys like Neil Bradley. I listen to Neil Bradley. He's, of course, the voice of Murray State. And then I listen to Pat Hughes. He's the Cubs announcer. And then Tom Leach. I grew up listening to Tom Leach. He's the Kentucky play-by-play guy. And these guys are amazing. So, you're not getting that out of us just yet. So hopefully after.
It sounds like you're getting close, though.
Hopefully. I would. Oh man, if somebody's going to pay me to sit down and announce basketball and football games, no, definitely.
So how's announcing giving you some insight into this year's basketball season?
Well, just being around the athletic department, getting the media passes and stuff, we've been able to meet with players, talk with players. We've done a few profiles on some of the different players, but the basketball team this year, I think they're going to be fine. I think there's a lot of people who think that this is a team that's going to struggle, and I really don't think they are. I believe that until I saw them play on Saturday. And I think that if you have a freshman running the point, that of course you're going to say he's going to make mistakes. And he will make mistakes. And we are going to lose some games early. But by the time we get to the Ohio Valley Conference tournament, I really believe, I don't see why not. I don't see why we couldn't compete for the championship in Nashville.
Looks like we have lots of guys who can shoot the three well. I mean, it looked learning how each other play and how to work as a team. But it looked like with a few games, there'll be a good unit, and we'll see some good victories. So what else projects are you working here at MSU?
A group of students, that'd be John Black. He's the producer of this show called Hoofbeats. Like I said, John Black is the producer, and then we have JT Waskowski and I are the host, and then Jamal Gardner. He also hosts the show. He does the football predictions, and such. And we each produce a segment. That has been an awesome experience. We've gotten a lot of experience out of that. We're doing this for the MSU TV Club. We're not getting any class credits for it, but it's just been a great learning experience. We knew we wanted to do something like this. We talked about it over the summer, and we put in a lot of hours. And I think I speak for everybody who works on it that it stresses us all out. And it's a headache all the way until Friday at 6:30 when it finally airs, and then we're like, that was pretty cool. We produced that. We're watching ourselves on TV going, like, we did that. We put in all that work, and it makes it worth it. But from Monday to Friday, it's a headache.
I've seen some of the clips and stuff. It looks like it's a really good show. You get to see all the different sports. Y'all do have a good variety. And so how does it feel to be the outstanding senior in television production and also winning an award from the Kentucky Associated Press?
Well, obviously that was an awesome experience. They gave me that outstanding senior award. There are so many people that are graduating with me right now that I think my producer for our show, John Black, he deserves some acknowledgement too. And he does a great job. There are plenty of people within our department that do amazing work, and a lot of them do better work than me. And but we got a lot of talented people in this department, and it's kind of humbling. I've always thought, to be humble, stay humble and hungry in everything I do. That goes from my sports background to broadcasting, and that, I might do a good job, but there's always going to be somebody out there better than me. No matter, there's going to be somebody who's better on camera. There's going to be somebody who's better at editing than me. And so I know that I got to continue to learn and continue to work on my skills and continue to get better, because there's always going to be somebody out there better than you no matter what you do.
Congratulations once again on your Outstanding Senior Award and your Associated Press Award, and thank you for joining us.
All right, thank you very much.